Fabulous Mother Love, and I have today who's going to share with me. We got some things to talk about. Okay, you guys know that I love to be entertained. I love to get knowledge. I love to learn something new every day. And I'm gonna tell you, I saw this movie yesterday called "Leave the World Behind." It stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, Ali, who won the Academy Award because I don't want to mess his name up, and it's produced. Now, this is something I was really surprised about that it's produced. Executive producers are former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and I'm telling you that man, if you don't go see another movie. You watch this one, and it's on Netflix. It's been on for a couple of weeks, but you gotta watch it. And let me tell you, okay, I can learn from everybody. And yesterday, Mr. Prime Black introduced me. He said, "You gotta watch this, Mother Love. You gotta watch this." Hey, Prime Black, what's
What's
up with you, black
what's
man?
going on? What's going on? Blessings, blessings.
Man, listen, I'm still in the ilk of that movie.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I mean, it has resonated with me as it has. I'm sure it has resonated with you, and you being a generation behind me. When you saw this, okay, let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what the movie is about. It's about us, people, humans, learning to have to live together without all of this craziness and just face the craziness. Don't act like it didn't happen. Don't act like it doesn't happen every single day.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it covers so many things that we really kind of sort of not like paying attention to, or we want to ignore it. It's like a 14-year-old girl who gets pregnant and she doesn't want to tell anybody she's pregnant. She'll just wear bigger clothes, and maybe if she wear bigger clothes and doesn't tell anybody, it'll just go away.
Yeah.
Racism and hatred and sexism and all of these stupid isms that we are putting upon ourselves and each other is just ridiculous. And this movie pulls like 17 layers of the onion away. What was your take on this movie? Tell me what made you say, "My love, you got to watch this." And I got to be honest. First, when it first came on, I was watching, and if it doesn't get me in the first 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, where is this?
Oh yeah.
Fine. What happened to my connection? It said it fell off.
I see you.
Can you see me?
I still see you.
Okay, your face is not moving.
I'm here.
Okay, I know you here. You
Yeah.
got this look on your face. But anyway, you can hear
But
me.
yeah,
Maybe something happened with the connection. But anyway,
we'll
this
fix it.
movie
It is
is
it is raining in LA finally.
how
Everybody, it is raining in LA, everybody. Finally.
what you say?
Everybody tripping. So
What?
no,
Because it's raining.
yeah, it's
Oh,
raining.
and it throws off everything, especially in the
Yeah,
area that we're in. I
yeah.
mean, we were even on the radio listening to a program yesterday in the car, and it just kept going out and going out and going out. See, to me, I, you got to think about that. Think about the energy that we're putting out here in the universe. I mean, and
Okay.
after like the
Absolutely.
first 15 minutes, I said, okay, well, now I'm invested. Let me see what happens. And
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to see what happens.
I'm one of those black folks that talk through the movie. So
Oh,
y'all gotta tell
I thought
me
I
to
was going to
go
have to
into the
throw you
other
out.
room because I this is spoiler alerts. This is a lot of analysis from this movie. I appreciate the fact that it made everybody comfortably uncomfortable to where you're dealing with the isms that you earlier described that make us all uncomfortable. I'm glad that it was able to spark the conversation and make us all uncomfortable with these type of negative personality characteristics that we all still embody, that society has made us capitulate and polarized us to follow into the lure of treating each other like in this capacity still in this day and age right now. We're in 2023, and so even in the movie, in the crux of it being at the end of days, we still hold on with the seven deadly sins of pride, holding on to, I got to be proud to treat this person like that, I got to be proud to walk this way and speak this way. And so it's unfortunate that it's fortunate that we got movies that are able to express this in a different comprehensive way than most times we live in a reality where
Mhm.
that shock value does spark people's reactions, and sometimes those reactions do spark the bad reactions, and people end up in very bad circumstances and situations, as it was in
Mhm.
the movie. It was great to create, because it created that end of the apocalypse decision making. What do you do? What do you say? How do you conduct yourself in such delicate situations?
What and it's also what will you do when you're faced with this? I mean, we come out every day. Julia Roberts at the beginning of the movie, Amanda, she said, she was giving her analysis, looking out on the city. They lived in Long Island, and
Yeah,
they were doing their thing, and she just came out and said, "I know what it is. I hate people."
yeah,
She didn't say black people, white people, Latin. She just said, "I hate people."
yeah,
And a lot of us will get into that state, and that's why I think we want to nitpick. Well, I'll pick on you because you're a woman,
yeah,
or I'll bully you because you're a different cut. You have different melanin in your skin than I do. I have the right to put you down if I got way more wealth than you do. And it's
yeah,
all of these isms that we do this to each other. One of the riveting things. Well, there was a bunch of riveting things,
yeah,
and even you know what? And I found this out too.
yeah.
Even if you told people what the movie is about, you still got to sit there and watch it because you're like, oh my god. I mean, when the deer came out and everybody is, these are deer. These is little deer with antlers and little baby fawns and
Oh
does
yeah,
and stuff. And I mean, and they just kept coming and they just kept coming and they just kept coming. And then you don't even know what to do.
and that
And we always want to go stick our nose in somebody else's business I mean, it was just so many layers to the film. One of them was when I'm gonna call his name, Clay. He went to go into the city to get a newspaper, try to figure out what the heck was going on. I mean, because it was like it was just crazy.
all
And then
right.
it
For
made
one,
it made so
all right,
much sense.
there's
But
so much going on.
when he drove out there and the lady was banging on the window. And he go, I can't speak Spanish. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know what you do. That right there will rip us apart. The fact that we don't understand each other's language,
Yeah,
or we understand the language of fear. He knew he was afraid. He knew she was afraid, and then he left her out there in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where she came from. Right now, I don't know where she came from. What hit you when you first saw this?
okay. There's a lot of pieces that we gotta definitely address. Because it was so much that needs to be delved into. When you started out from the beginning, Julia Roberts stating that she hated people. I think that is the energy that we're in right now, especially in cities, major cities, where the suffocation of population has caused people to have this frustration. And so now it's a unwinding now. It's a uncorking the screw, uh, where people got to get out into nature and get out and disconnect. And so because we're disconnecting from our matrix of a world, and then we get into nature, and then people looking at it, and then you don't even know how to connect in nature.
Mm-mm.
So this bridge where it was in the movie, where they crossed over the line, where she was watching the movie, she was watching the TV show Friends.
Mhm.
And so from that point, it was like, okay, we disconnected from it. Like we fell into the hypnotism of the television, instead of actually living in the moments. And so this
With
little
each
girl,
other.
this little girl was conditioned in the moment to be in a rerun. And so she
Right.
didn't understand a rerun until she was in the rerun herself.
Right.
And so when you pull back and then you see that it all got disconnected and they were all forced to talk and work with each other, you can see how much the family dynamic has been shredded, even if you have a full family dynamic where you have the both parents and everybody's healthy and financially well off and things like that. You still, money doesn't make you happy, like, yeah, your happiness makes you money. And so for these people to still be in every environment going around, just you still were uncomfortable. You still were frustrated or down or sad or anything. Like, so the personality characteristics that were put in the movie, the moment that they transitioned from the city to the
Coming out of the
wilderness,
country.
that
Mhm.
that uncomfortableness of that frequency between all of them, was very prevalent. And so the moment that they got into the wilderness and they got to the place, they didn't recognize that the world was changing away from them. They didn't even recognize that the things that was going on outside of their world, even though they were in a bubble, they still were outside of a bubble at the same time. And so, um, as they were going places, they felt privileged and inclined and enamored to flex this clout
Hmm.
of this. Even though this is not my home, this is my Airbnb. Even though this is not my beach, we're the only ones on this beach. Let us all just bask in the essence of this beach. And so the beach was there, and now I know I'm spoiling the whole movie. I know,
But you
I
know
know,
what?
but
And I'm gonna tell
yeah,
you,
but
I'm gonna,
yeah,
and I no, you're not, because
mm,
everybody will get something different. It will,
yeah,
everybody will. A lot of people won't get it.
hmm,
We have to accept that dynamic as well. A lot of people won't get it. They won't, we look at all the conspiracy theorists we have out here in the world right now. And there were many inside of that movie,
yeah,
because they started talking about the satellites. I didn't know this until I think I was talking to an astrophysicist, as a matter of fact,
hmm,
and he was saying that, like, I'm thinking like there's maybe what, 10 satellites out there. There are like thousands
thousands,
and thousands of satellites that are orbiting the earth, and there is the in the back of our mind, with all this technology, one entity or entities getting together, pooling their resources together, because and remember in the movie they were said, when all the things fell out the sky, and
yeah,
Clay didn't know what was going on,
yeah,
and then the young son said, this means death to Americans.
mm,
Okay. And people coming after America, I mean,
yeah,
every single day they're gunning for us. And we are imploding from the inside out. And
yes,
people around the world see our weaknesses and they're preying on it. And we, in the movie, it said, when he was telling them what was really going on,
yeah,
and he said, you think about it. They disrupting our society. They're disrupting. I mean, and when the cars, start piling up and start piling up and start piling up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on?
yeah,
It just brings so many things. I mean, these were what do they call them? Unmanned, a non-drivable. I'm not. What is it? When a car, self-driving
unmanned
car,
drone. Yes, self-driving car.
self-driving car. That was a trip out, and I'm like, what? Well, what? And he was saying and explaining to all of us, we're gonna implode on each other. They talk about, if we're looking at real life right now, they talk about how, I mean, look at the state of America now. We're at each other's throats in these elections and these scandals and all the crazy stuff, and people shooting and killing each other, and realizing we all in this together. We cannot allow ourselves to be imploded. If you really love the lifestyle that you are living here, and if you don't like it, you got to get in it and find something to do about it, to change the dynamic of it.
See,
And he said,
but
look, our adversaries could be mounting up against us,
yeah,
and they could stand back and watch us just kill each other, watch us implode. We'll do the rest of the damage to ourselves and our own country. That was like, when he said that, that kind of like ripped a piece of, over here, just kind of like, this is what we got to deal with. And we
it's
won't deal with it.
it's
I
some
mean, when you think about, they had an Airbnb, beautiful home, just absolutely wonderful, beautiful home, got a basement, fixed up everything. And when he came and knocked on the door, he said, my name is GH and this is my house. And she was like, the look on her face, like, how can this be your house, black man? Who you think you are coming up in here? Oh, yeah, you went talking about you was coming from the symphony. Yeah, right. I think your black behind been coming from, and that was just her attitude. It
yeah,
was like, oh, you don't get to live like this.
and
How dare you?
it was the beauty in that because it showed how diligently we are. It shows how comfortable we are with not wanting to change. That's pride. We're too proud to even want to. And it was beautiful between that acting relationship between the two actor and actresses, because it was a passive aggressive of our society for one, a lot
Mhm,
of different notes, but it was a passive aggressive cat pawing meowing
mhm.
of these isms that you described early. And so the moment that was For one, that was the first time I ever seen somebody open the door for a black person and not look through the peephole. So
Let's just keep it real.
yeah. So and he
And
came
in
in,
the middle of the night?
in the middle of the night, suit and
Okay,
tie,
right.
and so it's an interesting dynamic because they don't know what the world is going through, and you just assume that this person is trying to make a case for something like that, and you are put in that position where everybody's been thinking about it like, well, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Some random person I don't know, but this person knows everything about you. It's like, hey, I know you're GH,
Mhm.
you're Julia Roberts, I know who you are. This is my Airbnb and stuff like that. It's like, how would a random person out of nowhere know that information about that person's, to not even be even a slightly for her.
Apprehensive about
Yeah,
opening the door?
yeah, to settle down on that. But I understand, like, hey, it's the middle of the night, you don't know what's going on, you want to be alert, you're out here on a vacation, you don't want to be, confronted in that capacity. You thought that you was getting away from people, and she already hate people, so why is more people coming towards her? So
Right.
I understand her agitation in that, but it was still covered by her subconscious prejudice, barrier, biases, that she had no shame in expressing them out loudly, even to the person who is the owner, who is gracious enough to accommodate you for your
Mhm.
vacation hospitality, his living situation. Understand that even in real life, we deal with situations where Airbnb, people are not going to have their own personal property and whereabouts inside of there, just for privacy,
Mhm.
situations like that, because it has happened. And so now this movie made us really think about decisions like that. It's like, okay, we're at the end of the world, but this is this person's house,
Mhm.
and we're staying here, and then we can't leave. But then that shows how much we are attached to technology like that, because we don't even have any civil defenses. And it really exposed, even the person in the chat was saying, like, our survival skills are jacked up because we don't even have any civil defense. It exposed how much disdain that people have towards America. Even if you're just living your American life and you're just chilling and you're cool and you don't bother nobody, you do all the righteous things, you still got this whole this weird smoggy fog that's behind us, that's whispering over your ear like, hey, I don't like you, I hate you. And it's unfortunate that we've gotten to that point in our world now, that the conjuration of so much hate and rage is still prevalent, but it got to get broken down. So these movies really show us, like, hey, what do you do when you leave the world behind? Do you leave you behind? Do you
Now,
start anew? Do you break down? So
and then when you think about it, uh, the little girl she was 13, her brother was 17.
yeah,
And so, and her parents, they're pretty, I think I would pre-venture to believe that they really thought that they were really cool people, and they could tolerate, everybody. But see,
yeah,
I don't think we should be tolerated. Why do I have to tolerate somebody? Why do you have to tolerate me? Why do you
mhm,
hate me simply because of who I am, or who I look like, or how I sound? You know nothing about me. You don't want to even take the
yeah,
time to get to know me. This is my home. I've allowed myself to be open enough to allow you to come and stay in my home, and yet you're gonna act like you have the right to talk to me this way.
mhm,
Please. And when Ruth went off on her, I mean, she was going toe to toe with her. I mean, and to be able to, to have that kind of wherewithal, because when you think about it, both of them are very angry.
yeah,
Both of them, you could see the rage in her, and she's a young woman. You could see the rage in her building and building, and it's been there for a while. Because
mm,
oftentimes, and they always say, well, women have three, especially women of color, we got three strikes against us. We're a woman, and don't be an outspoken woman, don't be an educated woman,
mhm,
don't be a financially stable woman, because you must be doing something that you shouldn't supposed to be doing to get to the position. Forget about the fact that you done busted your hump to get here. And the fact that she had so much angst in her because she didn't know if she would ever see her mother again.
mm,
you know and see, like,
oh, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. You could tell the whole movie, and you could sit there, and because uh, and did you see something maybe in the second time you saw it that you didn't grasp at the first time you saw it?
Yes, definitely the second time. The movie, Sister Elder Deborah Shaw. The movie is
I ain't never
"Leave
saw.
Leave the World behind.
Oh, you
Leave
can
the
see
world
that.
behind. It is, yes, it is in the chat. We have a chat, people talking and they time chiming in, and it's appreciated. Everybody chime in. The movie is Leave the World Behind. It came out December 8th. It's on Netflix. You get a chance, check it out. It's a very talked about movie right now that everybody's discussing. So glad that you're able to join us and kind of breaking down this movie, giving a couple spoiler alerts. But within the movie structure of that, you can see the young woman have the embodiment of her mother. It's like her mother's spirit was inside of her and was expressed out, and you could see how the father was like really proud of his daughter, even
Hmm.
even how much she was defending in the capacity, but he was still trying to trying to at least express to her like, even when people treat you like this, you got to have some grace, daughter. Even when you've offered a service and they, give them, even, let them have the best room. Why? Because this is still my house.
Right.
I will go down and sleep in the basement on the floor. Why?
On the floor.
On the
In
floor,
your own house.
be humble about it and be gracious about it and not fret and not treat the company that is accommodated here in our place, which is a very lovely place that they have worked their butts off to get to, and very prestigious. To see Julia Roberts profile him even on a consistent basis, even after the fact that he was given as many explanations as far as to justify his position in who he was and this being his and everything like that. So I can see the angst and attention building up between those relationships, which was very beautifully acted out and portrayed, and with all the actors and actresses. And so to see them really try to gel it together and work cohesively, you still had too much friction was causing anybody to really collaborate in the best
Hmm.
capacity that they could have throughout the movie. That's why I think and that's really comes down to real life decision making. Like these will be real life decisions that people would be faced with if they had to face them. And so, um,
We face them every day.
yeah.
We are facing them every day. We want to ignore the signs. We want to ignore the sounds. We want to ignore the fact that there's still so much isms in the 21st century. I
Mm,
mean, we're talking about having battles that should have been won centuries ago. We're
mm,
still in the midst of it. I mean, there's so much conflict, and I think oftentimes hate is what a lot of people feel like if they let go of it, what would they do?
mm-hmm,
And I think to hate another person, you have to really be not comfortable in your own skin. You have to take that much energy, and we are all energy. We are all in tune with the universe. We're supposed to all be in tune with the universe. So that's our way of communicating with the universe. Just like you had said earlier, when they got out in nature, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to crap or go blind. This little girl, 13 years old, she's seen looking at all these deer coming, and they just kept coming and just kept coming.
mm-hmm,
And then they got so bold that when Amanda and Ruth saw them, we didn't know what was going to happen. We
mm-hmm.
didn't, and they had to work together to get that herd away from them. And just think, had they not, they had to work together as a family. But when the tanker
Mm.
when the tanker came up
Oh
and
yeah.
came up to the right up on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and this is happening all over the world.
Yeah.
You blocking up. I mean, even out here in California, it take one person to jack up the freeway. It only take but one because so many of most of them are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
So if you jacking up on the 405, you could be jacked up on the 110. You
Yep.
be backed up. I mean, we have sat in traffic sometimes for an hour just to get past, whatever is going on, and take one person car break down in the middle of the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can't, then it just jacks up everything. We are all interconnected that way. Period.
So to see the interconnection break down, whether it's with the people in society, whether it's with our utilities that we use, whether it's our technology or our vehicles and stuff like that, to see that that tanker come in, that really is a really scary thing, because that for wartime oil is a major factor. So to see that tanker coming in and the capacity like that it did was a major wake up call, and that should have woken us all up because these are, we are we are that dependent on a grid, on a technological, on technology, and if we have not developed any natural primitive civil defenses, then that puts us in a very precarious situation where we do get very evil and wicked with each other, because even in the profiling, like one of the people said, like there was, for one, there was no family picture, so we don't even know if the mom was really black. We don't know if she was white, Mexican, anything like that. So like that was one interesting point that I just thought about right now, like and just even the profiling of this young daughter. Like this daughter was accepted by could have been accepted by a white woman. Her mother could have been white. She was
Mhm.
lighter. She was lighter than her father. So it was a lot of
Well,
different.
everybody's lighter than her
Yeah,
father.
yeah, exactly. So you don't know the dynamic of how that relationship was, but she was willing to, jump down on them. And so to see the nature, uh, when to see how much nature wakes us up, to see how
Mhm.
much when we get towards all of the elements, whether fire, water, air, earth, and so to see the animals come out, see the deer come out, that was awesome because that's in what is it? Ancient mythology, deers, I believe the antlers have uh, good luck. They have medicinal powers. You grind them down and stuff like that are good
Mhm.
to have around you. So even with a deer, and it was kind of awesome to see just even with the deer, how much even the translation with us, how oblivious we are, how much you can see them even if they don't know what's going on, they all still came together. It's like, dang, it didn't matter what color that deer was or how big that deer was. Like it
They
was a
don't think
whole, yeah,
about that.
it was all unison, knowing that it's a catastrophe going on. Same thing with the birds when they were all flying. Same thing
Oh,
with the flamingos.
yeah.
It was a unity in the community within all of these animal structures and these animal kingdoms that should have been really highlighted. And in the human kingdom, that we're just idiots. We don't even want to acknowledge that part. So it was very vivid to be able to see that, and it's good to see where we're at right now, and it's a good checkpoint because this came out during the holiday season, and
Now, okay, now that part.
yeah,
And when you think about it, I mean, this is the time when we're all supposed to be coming together, period. And we shouldn't just have it during holiday time. This should be an everyday, ongoing thing. And before we walk out the door to present ourselves to the world, we have to be able to present ourselves to God, to the universe,
yeah,
and think to yourself, how am I going to make a difference today? How will I put positive energy out here today? One of the things we were talking about too is how in tune uh, people are with the water. And you have brought something up about why do you think all these white people want to move to the beach? Because they know about the energy that comes from the water. They
mhm,
understand, and we don't want to understand, and we act like sometimes we do what they say. I remember growing up and they said if you want to keep a secret from a black person, put it in a book, because they had this thing that we don't want to read. We Our ancestors here in America that were brought here on slave ships, everything was stripped from them. Their language, their culture, their beliefs, everything, their names were stripped from them, and then they're told, you don't need to learn how to read. You just need to do this work. This is all we need you to do. And then when we're done with you, we'll sell you off. It's no big deal. And we still, to this day, not black people, not white people, not not people who are descendants of slaves and descendants of slave owners, don't even want your kids to know about history, because they want to change the story. You can't change history. You can make it up, you can lie about it, but the history does not lie. And how
mhm.
you gonna tell the same lie over and over and over again? You can't, because the truth. You don't have to be looking around, try to find the answer, trying to justify it. And we keep wanting to justify our hatred. And
I love that word justify because it's an interesting dynamic how much we uh guilt trip and shame people who are preppers, people who actually do the work, do the homework, who actually get down and do the work that needs to be done. We see these people all the time, me, any and everybody else that does all of the prep work, and we see the people and we just go about our lives oblivious, be like, oh, why did this person just grab all that water? And then when things like that do happen, and then you're knocking on their door asking, like, why didn't you do the work? Why are you over here buying a bunch of like nothingness? And now you're getting mad because this person won't give you some water. Like, you didn't even do any of the work. They remember you not doing any of the work. So already in their mind, they're like, okay, why am I going to have pity on somebody who is going to be that lazy and that careless, irresponsible with not only their livelihood and civil defense? Yes, the world is collapsing, it's falling apart. Hey, but that's why you're supposed
The
to do
work.
your homework. You're supposed to
You
do your
got to
homework,
do the,
you know?
when we got hit with the
Take notes.
pandemic,
Yeah,
and a lot of people were acting like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. When
yeah.
the pandemic hit a couple years ago, that was our 312th plague.
Mm,
312. Look at the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 312.
mm.
I'm
Wow.
just I'm just saying. And when you think about it, the numbers are adding up. And as the pastor, the church in Chicago said, that excuse me, the chickens are coming home to roost. Oh, the chickens are here. They're
Yeah,
not coming home, they're here. And you see all of the destruction. I mean, so many people died from that pandemic, and so many people are still sick from the pandemic. And then they kept saying, okay, well, here's another variant, and we got to be able to make sure that we can not inoculate as many people with the variant. And we don't even question that.
mm,
We just, okay, yeah, okay. And there are people who had said that the vaccine was going to do horrible things to you. You could do all kind of crazy stuff, but we don't want to listen to the science. We don't want to believe the science. We don't want to believe that, oh, nobody would ever think to pull their armies together and pick on the United States of America. But look at what America has done, and we act like, oh, we have done no
mm.
wrong around the world. I don't know why they are coming for us. I don't know why are they hating on Americans.
Mm,
Okay, you think about all the skullduggery Americans have done.
mm.
I mean, and we have done something that was so horrific when what did Oppenheimer say? The worst thing he was the guy that split the atom and
Yeah,
was the father of the atom bomb. And he said that was the worst thing he ever did in his life. And he was wrought with so much guilt for what the destruction that he saw that it was causing. He took his own life. Now something is wrong with that picture right there. Something was wrong with that. And they said, well, okay, but we're gonna keep this anyway. And now they fighting now. Who has the most nuclear weapons? I mean, you can only blow up something one time. Has anybody told them that? These
mm.
people who are in power? You can only burn down a building once. You don't get to burn it down and then burn it down again. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to find out where the logic is in the hatred. And I don't want to I won't call it wasting my time trying to figure out what other people are thinking.
yeah,
If we don't, we really are going to perish. And you know what scriptures say? Without a plan, the people perish. And we don't have a plan. We don't have a universal plan.
no.
So and
Is it?
I gotta ask you a question, because this was,
Yeah,
with the sounds and all the vibrations and everything that was going on, all of this was in tune. All
yeah.
of this was in tune. Do you believe that we're the only living beings in the universe?
No, there's definitely a whole lot of Men in Black stuff going on. And, a bunch of little booger aliens walking amongst us, above ground, so below. So, and it's interesting that that dynamic came out with this movie because it was a lot of unknown. Nobody knew what was going on. You couldn't tell if it was a alien invasion or a people's invasion. Even though the dynamics was created to look that way. It was a lot of propaganda and chaos that was
Mhm.
put inside of this movie. So you couldn't tell if it was extraterrestrial or not. Remember, like you just said, like, okay, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Like you see, like everything was getting bombed, and you hear these noises where it was like an EMP that went off. It was a sonic boom type of noise, and it was enough of a high frequency that disturbed the auditory of everybody who was there, even the animals' weather pattern, the animals' travel patterns,
Mhm.
and so um, these are things that we don't. The universe is under no explanation that ever makes sense to any one of us, and we live in very precarious times right now, ominous, and so very surreal because it actually is real now that we see all of these
Hmm.
things. That we need to really take heed to this, and we really need to get on hands and knees because we need to take things a lot more serious. We don't take things serious, and then when you look at how things happen, and we get to acting really sad and crazy and expecting pity party. Like the guy was like, hey, like, is it my fault that you didn't, like, you're stepping on my porch? Same thing with what was it, Kevin Bacon, Ethan
Hmm.
Hawke, that drove off on the lady that was the cleaner, and
Hmm.
so the worker, and so um the,
But
you,
was she a worker? Did we know?
we don't know.
I don't speak Spanish, but I know she was talking about something was going on with her house and just the franticness in her voice.
Yeah.
You really didn't really need to understand the words, but understand the emotion. You could see the terror on her face.
Mhm.
You could see the please help me. And for him to just roll up the window and just leave her out there, and then he felt guilty about it because that could have been his mother. That could have been his grandmother. Will
Mm.
you want somebody to leave your mother out there and you don't know where she came from? You don't know where she needs to go, and you would just leave her out there? That you didn't have any humanity in you to even try to, let her in the car. She had to come from someplace because there was nothing out there. Even the tumbleweeds wasn't tumbling, and she
Mm.
was just banging on the window. See,
Yeah.
and that's another. You never know where they're going to come from. You never know who you're going to need to help. You never know who you'll need to help you. I mean, we have seen and heard the stories many times when a car has fallen on a kid and the mother goes over, and you can have superhuman strength because that adrenaline is flowing through you so much. You
Yeah.
get the superhuman strength, and you get the kid out. We've seen people that are strangers to each other reach in and look in and going to help them.
Hmm.
People going into burning buildings, to help somebody out that you don't even know. That's what we have seemed to, I don't want to say that we've lost our humanity. We just kind of allowed it to become so jaded. And how do we maneuver through life as a cohesive society? And it's not just us, it is all of us
Yeah.
on the planet. And we just polluting the planet, and we think, oh, this is the one that make me. And see, we're talking about climate change and the patterns of the deer. And when you see animals, getting, all like, where did the horse come from? Where
Wait,
did that horse come from?
what horse?
The horse that's in the movie. The horse showed up like the lady showed up. The horse was just standing there.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't see any footprints. You didn't see anything. Just like the lady, she just was there.
Yeah.
And what do you do in that sense? What do you do?
And that's the most uncomfortable position to put you in because you don't know what to expect. That you don't know if this person is, hustling you just as much as from the first scene. It was called The Hustle. You don't know, what's going to happen what to expect in the middle of a decision like that when the unexpected happens. And that really does go to our moral compass on how much we don't really care no more. Like, it don't, like, we're involved that much, but it's like, I don't care anymore. It's like, man.
Oh, I
And
don't want to get
we,
involved.
we've wasted our time so focused on so many distractions and things that are just unwanted and unmeritable in our livelihood that we look back, and then you look at the last end of your days. Are you willing to leave that behind, to like turn a new page in life, to change the chapter that you need to change? Because if you continue to keep doing what you're doing, obviously you're going to end up like the little kid, unprepared. See, and kids are never outside, so they don't even know that, what animals to look at, what insects to pay attention to,
Or what
what
not to
plants
pay
to eat,
attention to?
what not to touch. This little kid got bit by a tick,
A
and
tick.
and didn't expect it, and got bit and got Lyme disease. And Lyme disease is one crazy thing.
Because you don't
And
know
and,
what it's going to do to your body.
and
And it works differently on different people.
yeah, they
And
pulled out
when
his
his
teeth.
teeth start falling out, oh man,
Yeah.
I'm like, and oftentimes, we don't understand why kids get sick, and they're getting sick because we're not taking care of ourselves enough to be able to take care of them.
Mhm.
And we don't see the danger of not being able to be in tune with nature. When you don't understand, going outside, and we went to camp.
Yeah, even when
We
kids
went
are
we went to sleepover camp. My mother was like, okay, I'm sending y'all, and she would send us two by two or six of us. She would send me and my older sister and my two brothers, they would go together, and the two younger sisters, they would go together. All of us went outside. All of us knew how to pitch a tent. We know how to build a lean-to. We know how to build a fire in the ground with the rocks, an oven in the ground. We know how to take a latrine. We know
Yep.
the certain tools that you need to use to be. You need to always know how to use a shovel, a screwdriver, a wrench. These kids don't know any of this. They'll tell you, well, I'll hire somebody to do it. Okay, so when you need to do it and you out in the middle of nowhere and you can't tell a wrench, you don't know what a flathead is, you don't know what a Phillips screwdriver is, and we're enabling our children, and they're getting sick physically, they're getting sicker mentally. They got a commercial out here, and I'm sure it should be everywhere, about toxic shock for children.
Mm.
And they're in the first 5 years, when kids are hearing screaming and cussing, and you don't feel like feeding them, you don't want to be bothered with them, like a child is an accessory,
Not
and that's
everything they
not.
do agitates you.
Yeah, you can't make me understand how a 2-month-old baby could take down an adult. I just went to jail
Mm.
for shaking a 2-month-old baby. A 2-month-old baby, and kept saying, well, it wouldn't stop crying. That's not an it, that's a person. And see, when you want to tell people what to do with their body, say that's another thing. You think about that. All the craziness that's going on here in American politics, where they've overturned Roe v. Wade because not enough women are having babies. We were talking one day when you said in Italy. Tell them about the fact what you found out about Italy and the babies.
Yeah,
That was a trip. That's still a trip.
what's going on in Italy is that yeah, since the COVID shot happened over there, there's been reports of not one birth of a baby, not one from Italy, born over there. It's a lot of things going on everywhere. You got earthquakes, you got a lot of diseases, but definitely Italy was one place that I paid attention to. Haiti, Turkey. You see Turkey having with the major earthquake out there. So it's a lot of things just going on everywhere. China, you name it, in New York. So um, with the people getting affected in all capacities, from children all the way up to the elders. It's like, hey, we need to understand the times that we're living in are very spiritual. They're very energetic right now, and people need to be mindful of the way that you think and the way that you speak and the way that you move now, because for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and the movie that we are talking about today definitely entails that. Because even when Julia Roberts was leaving, like smart, and I'm like, we're leaving and we're never coming back. And then she comes around and come back knocking on the door like, we
Can we come in?
can
It's
can
not
we come
looking
in?
good out here for
Yeah. And can I sleep on your big bed again? And so um it just goes to
it's
the
a lot. The
conditioning.
movie is called Leave the World Behind. It
Yeah.
stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, uh, Mahershaal Ali. I know how to jack up his name. I'm gonna get your name. I'm gonna be able to pronounce it like I named you that. And Kevin Bacon was in. I almost didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, everybody did a really great job. It's riveting, it's thought-provoking. It will make you look at your position on the planet Earth and what you bring, what kind of energy you're bringing, what kind of energy that you're taking away, what kind of energy are you melding with other people? Are you coming up with like-minded people? And that's the one thing we got to get on one accord. We got to start thinking about survival. They got this TV show on called Survivor. And, I'm sure I've never watched a whole episode of it because I'm like, I want to survive. You setting people up for this. Okay, but what happens in the real world? This is what the survival show I want to see. I want to get a whole bunch of rich people that feel like they're entitled to have everything. Take their credit card, give them a RTA. Oh, is it RTA out here? Well, I don't know what the public transit is. Give them a
Mhm.
bus pass and give them a EBT card and drop them over in South Central. See how how fast they how they can survive that. How would you navigate that?
mm,
And you're in an environment that you are completely oblivious to. You have no idea what to do. And what a lot of white people don't realize is you come to the hood, we don't care. We're not looking at, but still, well, some people are probably looking to steal your car, but that's why you get a bus pass. So you don't have a car to steal. We just do so many hateful things to each other and to ourselves. And we're doing it to society. People who believe this, that we're not responsible for climate change. Okay. How in the world is there an explanation for fire embers to go 800 miles to get to the city in Hawaii that burned to the ground?
mm.
Burned to the ground. And then, like I said, you can only burn it down once. And now people are upset because more rich people are coming in to buy the land up because
Mm.
they see or maybe they do see what's going on. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
You
think
know,
I think Mother Nature is seeing what's going on, and she's showing us what's been going on. And we have disrespected Father God and Mother Nature too long, and now this planet is showing us that it's a living, breathing organism, and it's tired of us doing what we've been doing. It's coming to where the animals are showing us they're biting their owners, they're escaping, they're going off and getting like, get away from me, human, like
right.
so it's a weird dynamic that you're seeing all forms of life on this planet taking shape now in an unprecedented time. Now it's very uncertain, and we don't know what's going to happen. We wake up every day just blessed and thanking the Most High, thinking, knowing that we got another day to get it right and got
Hmm.
another chance to change. And so don't hold on to your pride. Don't be proud. No, that's one
That's
of
one of
that,
the deadly sins. That's
that
one of the seven deadly sins.
yeah.
And
It's the
know this.
easiest. It's the easiest and the most to succumb to, and that's what this movie was about. People being too proud of the things that they do and the things that they say, and I hope that people resonate with that. Like the first sin is your pride, man. Like kill your ego. Your ego is not your
It's
amigo.
not your
We
amigo.
we can work together, but if teamwork don't make the dream work for you, then it's really lonely out here. It's a lonely feeling being alone. You
And
know.
we should not be alone. We're
Mm,
not, we are a communal tribe. All humans are. I mean, you
yeah,
think about it, we are the only species on the earth that has the ability to reason.
mm,
And we have the ability to reason as opposed to the other animal kingdoms, and they all work together for survival. We don't
mhm,
work together for survival. We work together. I'm going to have more than you do. What you mean you got three cars? You can't. Why you got to have three cars? Who are you to tell somebody how many cars they can have and how many houses they can have? Excuse me. And we all know pride goeth before the fall. You can be walking around proud as a peacock, chest sticking all out, plume your feathers and what have you. And then what? What happens when your bloom is gone? Or do you
mm,
even get to bloom? And see, living things die.
mm,
All living things die. Trees and plants and stuff, what they call them, annuals. They die and then they come back
mm,
again next year, and they die and they come back again next year. The leaves
yeah,
fall off the trees in the fall and they come back in the spring. So
yeah,
we're all, growing living organisms. And you don't see these trees out here fighting each other for water and food and roots still going. People are not understanding clearly what their purpose is, because once you stand in your purpose and you see it, and yeah, I know it can get real big, and oftentimes you might not understand what the universe is working to tell you and show you and guide you and direct you, because when you think about it, when you on your plan, when you on God's plan,
yeah,
if you tell him your plan, he just gonna bust out laughing. You stupid. I got
mhm,
something else for you to do. I ain't put you down here to waste no time like that. You are on a mission. You are on an assignment. And people don't want to do their assignment. They
mm,
don't want to do their assignment. They don't want to do the inner work. They don't want to look at themselves and say, I can do better with this. or I could be smarter about that, or whatever it is that you're looking in that mirror and you see back and you don't like it. That's up to you to change it. That's not my responsibility to change it.
Mm.
What I can do is, share my knowledge so that you don't
Yeah.
have the same pitfalls that I did. That's about. And oftentimes you can tell people straight up. Our son's friends used to bring their girlfriends over, a girl they were interested in dating, and they were like, "Okay, if you could pass the ML test, you might be worth something." One of the guys brought this chick over. Her energy was so dark. You could just feel the. Uh, she smelled like sulfur, you
Mm.
know, and she didn't smell right. And it just when I shook her hand, it was just something about her. And he asked me. He said, "Well, what you think about her?" And they all called me mom, and pop. He said, "What you think about her, mom?" I said, "Run." Run, run as fast as you can away from her. That chick don't mean you any good. It was just she wasn't right.
Mm.
She wasn't right, and it ended up costing him his life.
Wow.
She had him shot.
Wow.
Well, actually, all of them went to jail. Her, the brother, and the mother, all of them went to jail. The mother and the brother for conspiracy to commit murder. Her and the mother conspiracy to commit murder, and her brother shot him, killed him.
Mm.
And ain't none of them been right since. See, when you put that kind of evil out there, that's gonna come back. And as Forrest Gump would say, that's gonna come back and bite you on the buttocks.
Yeah, it's literally everybody's balance. People battling their angels and demons, and how much of a balance and control do you have of that? Because now, when you allow your emotions to get out of control like that, you start making the most irrational decisions that not only hurt you, but hurt the ones around you. And sometimes, I mean, people need to understand. Sometimes life is short. Life is short, and people need to understand that part, that we are not promised tomorrow, and everything that we thought we had could be taken away from us. There's people that are suffering all over the world,
Mhm.
and we need to be able to do the work to be able to, for ourselves first before we can help others. So it's like that's why this was a great movie, because
It
it
was.
really it made you think about, do I take care of myself, or do I take care of the community first? And that really goes to people's characteristic challenge, because a lot of people got a good heart, and they will look out for the community first, because there's unity in the community, and then if the community is strong, the community will build each other up. But if you're a strong individual and you keep building yourself up individually, then yeah, you'll continue to be strong for yourself individually, but you won't necessarily be a strong candidate for a community aspect, because of the solo dolo thing that you have going on. And so that conflict between, society, and a civil breakdown like that, where you got chaos amongst each other, paranoia. Paranoia is really deep, and it feeds off of people's traumas. And if you got things like that, where people have not dealt with the things that they needed to deal with in their emotional capacity, everybody's capable, but are you able? Everybody's capable of picking up a gun, but are
But
you able to
will
do
you?
that? And that's where the character challenge now, when we get to these very traumatic decisions in life, you gotta do the right thing. You have to take a step back, slow down, homie, stop, be still, be quiet, listen, because God is trying to tell you something.
And receive that. Whomever you conceive God to be, that's between you and your maker.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We're not. People out here don't even take their kids to church anymore. They don't tell them they don't take them to the Kingdom Hall. They don't take them to the mosque. They don't take them
Mm.
to the temple. I was talking to this one little boy. He must have been about 13, 14 years old. And he was saying, a Jewish boy, and he was saying how he hated having to go to temple and listen to these old men speaking Hebrew, and that he was forced to learn Hebrew. And he said as soon as he got to be an adult, he was going to leave Judaism. And I thought that was kind of wild, kind of weird, because here's a kid who is saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is what you want to do. This is what
Mhm.
you believe. I mean, when we were growing up, everybody got up and went to Sunday school. It was no, it wasn't a debate. It wasn't that, oh, I don't feel like going to Sunday school. Well, you must be feeling like going to live someplace else because you live here. You getting up and going to church.
Yeah.
And then when we got old enough, whenever that old enough was, well, we could make that decision. It must have been about 15 or 16. Uh, she said that we were too old to go to camp and we could make the decision if we wanted to go to church. And we still wanted to go to church because it was a great place to go. It was a great place to learn. And I love when people got happy and hit the spirit. The spirit hit them. They run up down, throwing their wig through the congregation and everything. That was hilarious to me when they trying to pull the elder mother's dress down because her girdle done popped loose, and she done fell out in the floor. That was hilarious to me.
Mhm.
And that's what I went for to get the material. But that's not what you go for. And you can get away from whatever it is that you were raised in, or if you were raised agnostic and you want to believe in God, or you were raised an atheist, because there's a lot of people don't believe in God.
Yeah.
See, and them the ones that scare me. Them and the
Yeah.
nuns, the ones that don't get none.
They
Shut up.
don't they don't think God loved them. They think that because they went through all the most horrible atrocities that just God just does not like you. Like he wanted you to go through that. No, and it's funny because how do you fix that? Because then that makes you discouraged to where you don't even want to go to church. You don't want, you think that, oh, he's not moving too fast for me. He ain't,
Mhm.
he ain't giving me my blessings on time. I prayed 37 times today. Like, oh, so it's like we have gotten to this discouragement of spiritual energy that has not only helped us but helped Mother Nature and the plants and the food that we eat. We can't be like sidetracking besides that. Like when we mix church and state together, that's what just created this whole dysfunction. But the fact that we've taken the spiritual energy and the essence out of do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. That's
Mhm.
just the number one golden rule, and it will resonate from there. When you start treating yourself good, others will receive that and they will respect that. Even at the end of the day, even after Julia Roberts was the way that she was, the actor, he garnered that respect from her, you know, and even at the end of the day, she couldn't do nothing but, what, just chuck it up. Even to the
Right.
little girl, like, oh, you know what, I gotta respect you because for one, you as strong as you are, and you don't even know if your mom is alive or dead, you
Right.
know. And I'm over here arguing and getting mad at my child, and I'm arguing with their child, and their children are running off into the middle of the woods. Now they
You
gone. They
can't
don't know
find.
where. You can't find them nowhere. You just irresponsible. You over here getting drunk and dancing with another man that ain't your husband. It's like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they
so
had to stop themselves,
yeah,
and he was repeating, you could hear it, see it in both of their faces. And in times of struggle, that's when we got to learn to pull together all the time. And
yeah,
in times of struggle, we
yeah,
need each other. We need to understand that we need each other. We cannot live in a silo and have a productive life. You can't do it by yourself. And when I say we, our people, black people, brown people, we have to stop with this crab barrel mentality. Each one of us ought to teach one of us. And
mm,
when we pass the knowledge along, we pass the spirit along. When we show them by the way that we live our lives, because people, you never know who's watching you. You
yeah.
just never know. And you never know how you're going to need to be presented. I don't know if I told you this story. I was in Costco. My husband and I, we dated in Costco. Easy. We go on Saturday. I'm glad the pandemic is over so we can get full at the Costco. Shut up, mother. And it was this beautiful. I mean, this was a really attractive family. And the mother came around the corner. I mean, it looked like she just stepped off a magazine cover. She got about 17 kids coming behind her, all of them immaculately dressed, beautiful. And she had a set of identical twin girls.
Oh yeah.
And so they must have heard me talking because they're coming around the corner and one of the girls say, no, that's not. And she goes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. She goes, no, it's not. No, it's not. And they get around the corner and she said, aren't you Mother Love? And I said, yes, I'm Mother Love. And the one twin said, she's a dinosaur. And the other twin looked at her and said, she's a unicorn. You could have bought me for a feather. These are identical twins. Both have a different dynamic. Both have a different thought about the same thing.
Thing,
And you
yeah.
have to respect that. And to her, I probably am a dinosaur. She probably don't. Probably, most kids don't believe their parents were children.
No.
We always think they was born grown. My mother told us one time she was a teenager. I'm like, when was you a teenager? She said between 13 and 19. I said, You was between 30. That means you could have been an 8. She said, where you think I came from?
Mhm.
I thought, look, not only did I think she was born grown, I thought she knew Paul Revere and Hannibal, who crossed the Alps with the elephants, you know. And what's wrong with, because we have no perception of time. We
Mm-mm.
don't. So when you get the chance, sit down, take the time. This will be
Oh
time
yeah.
well spent to
Yep.
make you think about leaving the world behind. What will you leave behind? What is going to be your legacy? Because just like down in Italy, they hadn't had a baby in 90 days. I'm like, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
No baby births in 90 days.
What's going on? Even in North Korea, they just had that summit with Kim Jong Un crying to all the National Mother's Day. Just like, hey, I need y'all to start baking.
Uh,
I
First,
need
they
that
told them
bacon.
one child rule.
Yeah,
And if you had a daughter, they didn't want you, they would kill your daughter because they want you to have a son. And I've heard women say, well, I would rather take my baby's life than allow you to take my baby's life.
yeah.
But then they want to force you to do it. Now it's a 1.5 billion people over there in China. And I went over there and I tried to see all of them. I was looking at all of them. They said, don't. And you got to understand people's culture, and I know the culture of love and
Yeah.
connection. And they, in China, the Chinese, they don't they don't do big hand displays. And, they don't, they're not very affectionate out in public. I'm like, they're affectionate someplace. 1.5 billion people ain't just fell out the sky. Now, I might be crazy, but I'm not crazy like that. Y'all over doing something.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, we all were family. We were all human beings, and just to have that human connection, that left something with me to understand about their culture and them to understand my culture. And we got along really well. We did. I had a great time. I can't wait to go back. They invited me back for the Olympics one year, but China is like LA. They don't have air that they can't see.
Hmm.
And the pollution is awful. You think it's bad over here? Oh my God! And all of them have to wear a mask when you go outside. It is really something.
We have to
And this
stop cold
this movie
turkey.
is really something. Go and get the channel. And it's on Netflix. You don't even have to go out the house. You can just sit there, and I'm telling you,
Oh yeah.
I was riveted. It's called "Leave the World Behind," and I'm asking, what will you leave behind? Think about that, folks. What are you going to leave behind? What is going to be your legacy? How will you be remembered throughout your story? How will you live out our story? Think about that. And just remember this, babies. Now, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. This was a very great conversation.
Oh yeah.
People really
Thank you.
need to really see this movie. And just remember this, no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, matters not what skin you're in. Everybody needs some mother love now and then. Peace and blessings. Thank you, everybody. This has really been something. Oh, man, this has really been something. Peace. I
All
got
right.
it. Watch me. I know what I'm doing. Okay, maybe
You got it.
I got it.
I believe in you.
Wait a minute.